I'm Bruce on the Loose. That's my show, and I'm Bruce Lorincz. And this is a real good show today. We're having the regional qualifying baseball team at Wadsworth High School. We have the head coach with us, Greg Pickard. Greg, thank you for being here. Can you introduce your guests?
My pleasure. Aaron Keating is a senior. Aaron's our center fielder, leadoff hitter, all-league performer this year, and he'll be going to Mercyhurst to continue his playing career. Aaron was also selected to the OHBCA All-Star Game, which is basically an all-Ohio game at Ohio State, which he'll be playing this summer. So
tremendous.
It's very exciting. Ben Leopold. Ben is our cleanup hitter, our man in the middle, and he's played second base for us. Ben can really play anywhere. He played outfield last year, had an arm injury, moved into the infield this year, and has done an outstanding job. Ben is going to the Ohio State University to study agriculture next year. And Daniel Hall is our catcher. He's hitting a 3-hole for us, and he will be heading to Davenport University next year to continue his playing career, and he was also an all-league performer like the other two gentlemen. So got the top of our lineup here and the center of our defense.
So not only good athletes, but good students.
Without a doubt.
And that helps a coach, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. Yeah, good students. We have so many just quality young men in our program this year. In our banquet last night, I talked about that. That's one of the highlights for me is they do a lot of great things on the field, but the accolades that they get off the field is really makes it special for me.
How about a leadoff hitter? What are you supposed to do to set the table for the guys coming after you?
Yeah, so my job in the leadoff hole is get on base. No matter how I do it, just any way I can get on, whether it's a walk or a hit by pitch or a double. That's really all I'm looking to do. It's worked so far.
So with your speed, do you ever drop a bunt down occasionally?
Yeah.
I know, Coach. I know MLB doesn't believe in the bunt.
We do for sure.
I think maybe high schools do.
Yeah, we definitely practice bunting a lot in practice, and I think I've gotten maybe 2 for a hit this year.
All right.
2 bunts for a hit, and he'll call a bunt whenever.
Sometimes the third baseman then pulls in a couple steps,
right.
then that cuts down their range, I think, a little bit. Then they can't, if you put one in a hole, they might not be able to get to it.
They've heard that before.
Yeah.
What about middle infielder, Mr. Leopold? Why is that really a significant position?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of balls hit there. I mean, being outfield last year, it's a huge difference.
Yeah.
I mean, I probably got twice as many balls hit to me in the infield this year. Biggest thing for me is working with my shortstop. And Kyle Figure did such a good job this year, Suburban League Player of the Year. Being able to work with him is pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's really, the communication is really important because, if no one's covering the bag, that's a problem. Your fine catcher there next door can't gun someone out. And, again, you really need to know who's hitting, to position yourself to go ahead and get the ground ball and maybe start a double play. If it's hit, 1 hopper or 2 hopper to you, that's really, really significant.
Yeah.
Catching. Why, we always talk about these guys are up the middle.
That's right.
Yeah, the old theory is you have to be strong up the middle.
Without a doubt.
And if you're not, then your team is really going to suffer. How have you improved your catching abilities over the years, do you think?
Well, I've done a couple things. So during the winter, I go to IVL. There's a guy over there, his name's DC. I work with him throughout the winter. He does a very good job. Just kind of refining those skills, working on different things, just so that way I can get better behind the plate. Obviously make our pitchers look a little bit better from the receiving aspect, and then throwing runners out, which is also a big part. And just working on that stuff throughout the winter is really just a big piece of what we do.
It used to be that umpires wanted the catchers to frame. Now it's we present the ball to the umpire. It's kind of changed a little bit over the years. Are you pretty good at showing that outside corner to the umpire?
I try to.
Yeah.
A lot of the times it's just working with the angle, making sure that you're getting your angle, getting outside the ball. That way, and the big thing is not letting the umpire know what you're doing. Because if he sees you're framing it, you're not doing a good enough job, is how I see it.
Yeah, sometimes when we jerk the ball and then jerk the mitt, that's really a sign that it really isn't probably as good as it might be. Coach, what about the support in Wadsworth, in the Wadsworth community? I'm sure the Booster Club and your coaching staff, we can talk about them for a minute, and trainers, they all go together to help Grizzly baseball, don't they?
Yeah, without a doubt. First of all, just recently from the community outpour of support has been awesome. We haven't won a district title since 2001, so just to see how excited everyone in the community is really, really special. We're very fortunate with our program, the facilities that we have. Our hitting facility is second to no high school in the state, I guarantee, and the ability to have that access. So the school has supported our program by giving us the resources to really be successful. And then, I could talk about my coaching staff for years, but they're special. Looking at Coach Smith and Coach Smeltzer working with the younger guys and really promoting not just, winning, but promoting development is what we really tried to do in the younger grades, and really coaching the same way and same philosophies that we have at the varsity level. Coach Shanker is second to none as far as handling our pitchers. I've been blessed with amazing pitching coaches throughout my career. Coach Shanker now and Coach Gerhart before him. Many of our wins, and if you look at our pitching numbers over the years, they're absolutely phenomenal with every year in and year out. And we've had Pitcher of the Year multiple years since the Suburban League adopted that. And, that all goes to credit to those guys. And the work that they do with our pitching staff is phenomenal.
Aaron, talk about that league, the Suburban League. You're in the National Division. Not many easy games there with Brecksville, Stowe, Hudson. Boy, it doesn't get any easier. And then, of course, you had, for the third time, North Royalton. Hard to beat someone 3 times in a year, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the Suburban League is historically one of the top leagues in Ohio, especially in baseball. And I think going 12-0 is something that should be remembered and something to build off for sure. Yeah,
no question about it. It really is something. And, again, I don't know how coaches do it. You go ahead and have a couple days out there, and then it's get real cold or rainy. I don't know why we start in March,
right.
but we do, and it's very, very cold. How about a hitter, your leadoff hitter? How does it feel when it's 30 degrees? It's probably real difficult, isn't it?
Definitely. I definitely prefer hitting when it's warm out. It makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, no question about it. And you get a jam shot. It really stings for a while. People don't realize, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
What about turning again, let's go back to defense for the middle infield. What about turning a double play? Do you and your other infielders take pride in trying to get a double play if it happens right in front of you?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, anything to be able to help our pitcher. I mean, being able to get him out of the inning with the fewest pitches possible is going to keep him going longer in the game, and if we're able to do that, that's awesome.
No question about it. What about, do you ever have any problem with Texas leaguers? I still remember a couple near collisions or collisions with in some MLB situations. How do you approach a Texas leaguer right over your head in the short right field? Tell me your thought process on that.
I mean, I see it go up, I'm immediately sprinting back, and I'm going for it like it's my ball until our outfield does a great job calling me off. And if they call me off, I stop right in my tracks and they'll catch it for me.
But it's a lot easier for the outfielders to come in, right?
Yeah.
But it may not, they may be playing deep for that, cleanup hitter, and it may get off the end of the bat, and you may be the only person that can get it. So you go as far as you can, as fast as you can.
Turn back and run. Yep.
Okay. All right.
And Ben does an excellent job at that. Being an outfielder last year with that experience, and that is something we practice. We call it the Bermuda Triangle, where we hit balls and our first baseman, second baseman, and right fielder are coming in hard at it, and they all know that outfielder has the right away when he makes that call. But Ben, with his speed, has taken away a few hits like that this year. He's done a really, really nice job.
What about how does a catcher defend a bunt? You have a bunt that is kind of halfway between you and the mound, kind of same situation. You're kind of running out. The pitcher has I think, more difficult play, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely. So my biggest thing is if I can get to it, I like to call the pitcher off. because historically they're not as athletic as some of the other people in the infield.
Okay. All
So
right.
anytime that you can get to that ball and try to make it, because I like to take anything into my hands that I can, just so that way if someone messes up, it's me. So in that situation, I'm trying to get there, and Ethan Green at third base and Logan Skidmore do a great job at third base coming in as well. So we have a lot of people coming in on it, to where it's not always me that has to get the ball. So it's really, we all do a really good job of all attacking at the same time, and then our bunt coverages based on where runners are do a really good job of knowing who has what area.
Do you communicate with the infielders? Ground ball, and you see that maybe the runner has left and trying to steal, and instead of making it a bang play at second, go to first.
Yep.
Do you communicate and point to first?
Yep. Usually I'm yelling at the top of my lungs, so that way people in the next county over can hear me.
Congratulations.
Yep.
That's really important, I think, because you are really the captain of the defense, and you really need to do that. A lot of times, pitchers, since someone said they're not good athletes,
Not me.
They may be off balance, and sometimes people are taught to said step and throw, make sure you get it over there instead of in the stands or wherever. Sometimes pitchers are their own worst enemies occasionally, right?
Yep. And they have enough to worry about with pitching. Our pitching staff this year has done a great job. So if we can take one thing off their plate, it just helps them out.
Yeah, that's very, very wise. Coach, in the district tournament, I don't think you even gave up a run, did you?
No.
You beat Royalton, I think extra innings, 1-0.
Yeah, 8 innings.
And then Strongsville, 6-0.
Yeah.
Boy, you talk about pitching. Wow, that was phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, Finn pitched game 1 and went 7 innings against Royalton and didn't give up a run, and then Kyle Figueroa comes in and pitches the 8th, scoreless 8th. But that's been our pitching all year. They've been phenomenal. Finn has been absolutely outstanding all year, and John Byers pitched, the game of the year, in my opinion, and against Strongsville in the district final. 75 pitch complete game. That's always impressive and efficient, obviously. But Coach Shanker does an absolute amazing job with our pitchers. He really does. And, not just getting them ready to pitch, but teaching them how to pitch, to understanding why we're throwing pitches when. And, pitching, we sometimes pitch what we like to say, pitching backwards, not always just pitching what the hitter thinks is coming, but really reading the hitter and trying to guess that, what he thinks coming and throw the opposite. And our guys do a great job of, breaking off a curveball behind in the count, or even with full count. We had a lot of success with throwing curveballs, because full count, most time hitters looking for a fastball, and our guys get the curveball sign and they throw it right in there. And it's impressive that not only they're able to do that, but the way Coach Shanker has trained them to do that and understand why we're doing that. So they've been great all year.
So not many 0-2 hits from the other team, right?
Well, we try not to, but
that's like
every
a cardinal sin,
every
isn't it?
once in a while we have one here and there. But yeah, the goal is not to have one of those.
Yeah. And I'm sure, again, our catcher, you really do a good job at, seeing what, if the guy's back from the plate, maybe go a little more outside corner. And now, at the end of once you're done with one inning, you're out, you got him 1, 2, 3. Do you go and tell Coach Pickard that, hey, the umpire's given a little bit on the outside? Do you see a tendency on an umpire right away what they may be calling?
Yeah, so normally early in the game we like to live outside, just because a lot of high school hitters have a little bit more trouble hitting the outside pitch. And then usually right around there you can see if they're giving a half baseball to a baseball out. And then from there, after that inning, I usually go in and Coach Shankard and I talk about, hey, this is what I see, and then we talk about what we're doing the next inning. And then we can also communicate on what we see is working for the pitchers and what we see is like their off pitch for that day. So that way we're not throwing a curveball if he's hanging curveballs, and throwing that fastball if it's getting by hitters.
Daniel, you're the third hitter, I guess, right, in the order?
Yep.
So do you get embarrassed if you get a bloop hit to right field, if the ball's on the outside? It used to be that people shied away from going opposite field. And I don't know if Coach Pickard is kind of chuckling here, but it seems to be if people use the whole field, it's a much better offensive strategy.
Yep.
Do you hit the ball all over?
I try to, yep. So mainly early in the count, our approach is go the opposite way. Hit it over the shortstop's head, because then what that does is it keeps you on the off speed. We preach during practice, go opposite way, just so that way, like if you see an off-speed pitch during the game, you're not going to pull it, or you are going to pull it. So that way you're still staying on it and not pulling off of it. So yeah, going the opposite way, we call it a dirty double if we hit it over the third baseman's head. Just because in the stat sheet it can be the same as a line drive off the fence, but it's not, obviously, as you said, not as strong as of a hit.
Aaron, what about the camaraderie? You guys, obviously, as being seniors, are the cornerstone of the team. Have you influenced some younger kids along the way? And again, we can have maybe some freshman, sophomore playing, and I'm sure that's the case with Wadsworth. Do you sometimes maybe have to tell some other kids that, hey, you need to hustle a little more, you need to do this a little better, and show some senior leadership?
Yeah, I mean, I hope my goal as a senior is to have a positive impact on the kids below us and the kids below me, and I think during practice the best way to do that is just leading by example. I think no one's going to listen to you if you don't hustle yourself and if you don't work hard yourself, and I think the younger guys really look up to the ones who show that kind of hustle.
What about your base running ability? Do you, Coach says you're pretty quick. What is your key to stealing second base?
I think the key to stealing second is definitely the jump you get. I mean, you don't have to be the fastest player on the team to steal second. I think it really depends on how good of a read you can get on the pitcher and how well you have them timed up.
No question about it. Really does make a difference if you have a runner at second, Coach,
Without a doubt.
versus a runner at first. It's like night and day, isn't it?
It is. It really is. It changes the inning. It lets you do a little bit more offensively. We got guys like these three at the top of the lineup that can run, and we can steal second instead of necessarily having to bunt them over. Saves us an out and gives us that extra out to try to hit them in. So we've done a nice job running the bases this year, these three specifically. And we like to steal third a lot too. We've learned over the years a lot of times that, especially lefties that have that good move to first, sometimes it's easier to steal third on them because they don't think of you as much there. So these guys do a good job. Leo here does a great job at our delayed steal. We do like to mix that in every once in a while, and he's got that down to a science. I think he's about 5 for 5 this year on the old delayed steal.
Well, yeah, you don't see that. You don't see that very often.
No, you don't. It works very well.
Very rare indeed.
Yeah.
So we have Aaron. He got a hit. He went with a pitch and went to right field.
Yeah.
He stole second base. Are you going to in the first inning? There's a theory that you want to go ahead and advance people maybe later in the game. Are you thinking of bunting? He's there with no outs. He's your leadoff hitter.
A lot of it will depend. What's going on.
Right.
We'll read the game. Sometimes we get in situations like that, and if it's Aaron on first right off the bat, on second base right off the bat, we got 3 good hitters coming up right behind him. I'm probably going to give them the opportunity to hit them in.
You sound like
that
Tito.
Extra chance.
You sound like Tito.
And we might do a fake bunt steal. We do that a lot.
Okay.
Mess with that third baseman a little bit. Or the good thing is the top of our lineup, all 3 guys, they can get a bunt down too. So we might just try to bunt for a hit and see how that works out. So the good thing with the guys that we have at the top of our lineup, they all run, they all handle the bat pretty well. I think all of them hit well over 300, some over 400. It gives me a lot of options over there at third base. We're not pigeonholed into doing one thing or another. So
the fake bunt would be the batter squares around the third baseman. With the guy at second, he's got a tough decision.
Yeah.
If he stays and the bunt's down, it could be a hit.
That's right.
I would think more often than not they would probably charge.
Yeah, we
Is that
like
what
to
you're
make
saying?
him make that in, put that decision in his head, and especially if we can do it early in the game. Sometimes they give away what they're going to do, and it helps us later in the game make a better decision when we get in that situation again. So, a lot of it really is just reading the game, reading the team we're playing, understanding who's on the mound for the other team, whether we think we can scratch more runs across against them or not. So, it's really all just situational. But like I said, with the guys we have at the top of our lineup and really all through our lineup, it does give me options over there.
Yeah, that's really important. Ben, what about playing? You played at BW, I think, for the districts. Now you're at Oberlin.
Yep.
Kind of nice seeing college campuses.
Oh,
And
yeah.
although Coach and I were talking before, a little warm with the turf, with the turf and the 88 degrees
might
coming
be.
up tomorrow. So it's going to be a little toasty out there. Any problems with the turf? Do you like playing on turf?
I like playing on turf more than I do dirt. I mean, I like a nice dirt field more than I do a nice turf field for sure, because And the hop, I mean, I think it just looks great. But turf is nice because the hops are right to you. You don't have to worry about it taking a bad hop, going over your head, shooting left or right. I mean, you can just stay down on it and play through the ball.
Also plays a little bit in your bunt. The bunt's going to roll a little bit. You know,
A little faster.
You have to really kind of pull back on the bunt and make sure it's deadened a little bit, I would think.
Yeah, it does change your strategy a little bit.
We talked to your groundskeeper. We talked to Mr. Hutton.
Yeah, he's the
Drew
best.
Hutton.
He's the best.
And you recommended I had him on the show.
For sure.
And what about his factor in
I
all
tell you,
this?
he's done an amazing job over the years. Our field, when we first opened that field, was it was a little rough. I mean, we called it the swamp. It earned a nickname of the swamp because it would just, I mean, it was really wet, and it just seemed like it stayed wet forever. But since Drew has gotten here, our field, in my opinion, is probably the best natural surface field in the area. And we actually nominated it this year for Field of the Year. So
Wow.
we're hoping to get that, to give him some recognition for the hard work he's put in. But you know, we play games a lot of times that other natural surface teams can't play because that field really recovers well. The dirt, I mean, it'll pour and you can walk across it in a couple hours. So Drew has done an amazing job, and he takes a lot of pride in it, and you can tell with how nice our field has been over the years.
Dan, do you attack the 3, 4, 5 hitters differently than the 7, 8, 9?
Yeah.
Okay, again, those 3, 4, 5 guys you're usually the power guys, and they usually really want to swing and they want to get their arms extended. How do you go ahead and attack those middle of the order guys?
A lot of those guys like to come up to the plate and hunt for a fastball, so they want to see a fastball first pitch. So Shank does a really good job of calling pitches. So he'll throw either a curveball or a changeup, and they see that curveball, and sometimes it'll freeze them, and then they're like, okay, I have to watch out for that. Other times he'll throw a changeup and it looks like a fastball out of the hand, so they're so far out in front. Sometimes we get a rollover and get an out of it. But we do a really good job, Shank especially, of seeing what the hitters are doing, where they're positioned, and making a decision on how we want to attack them.
Boy, that gets the hitters thinking a little bit, doesn't it? They're just not really going to just sit back and wail away at that fastball. Yeah, that really makes a great deal of sense. And you're probably a big advocate of pitching inside, so they don't get their arms extended. You want to, and I see a lot of high schools over the years. They went outside, and I guess the next pitch would also be outside. They never pitched inside. Do you think that's important?
I think mixing that in, absolutely, because if they're expecting outside all the time, then they're going to be able to sit on that and take it the other way, especially a good hitter. But if they're not sure if a fastball's coming inside or if a fastball's coming outside, they don't really know what to expect. And it keeps them more off balance. That way we can get them to roll over a weak fly ball.
Coach, how about the Booster Club and the athletic director, Brad, and again, the support there, and the trainers? I imagine you probably had some ankle and arm issues along the way. And
Hamstring.
Yeah,
we've had some injuries over the year, and we always do, bumps and bruises, and Emily, our trainer, does an outstanding job of helping keep them healthy and get them back as soon as possible. Mr. Musgrave in the athletic office and Mrs. Innocente, they do a phenomenal job. They're behind the scenes, and I always rave about them because spring, as we all know, the weather is very unpredictable, as we talked about. And it's easy for us to say, oh, the field's wet, we got to cancel a game, but it's them that are getting the bus schedules, getting the umpires changed, getting all the reschedules done, and moving buses around. I mean, we've got a lot of sports in the spring, and track takes 4 buses when they go. There's lacrosse. There's all these sports.
Field trips.
Yeah, field trips.
Yeah,
so
the kids. Yeah.
It's really a blessing for us when we can reschedule a game and they can take care of it, and it's a lot less off our plate as coaches, and we don't have to worry about are we going to be able to play or are we not. So. Just the work that they do behind the scenes is definitely appreciated.
Now, I know the league schedule comes first, but somehow you can't play somewhere else. Would they maybe flip-flop and come to Wadsworth
with our
to
league,
play?
the first time through, especially and we did this a couple times. I think with Nordonia and Stowe, we were supposed to be there first. Their fields weren't ready. Our fields were, so they came to us, and then we just went to them later on in the year when we could. Yeah.
So Aaron, you had a hamstring problem?
Yeah.
Tell us about that and how that hinders a fast, fleet center fielder.
Right. I think maybe a week left in the regular season, just a Monday game, stealing third. I injured my hamstring and had to sit out maybe 5-6 games. But going back to what Coach Pick said, trainer Emily was a huge part of getting me back on the field. I think there were multiple times throughout that week that she opened the trainer's room early for me. She came into work and let me do some heating pads and ice and stuff like that. And she was definitely a big part of the reason I was able to get back on the field.
You know, a pulled hamstring could be up to a year to get it full strength. Yeah, that's not a minor, especially when you depend on that speed. So how are you now? You back to almost the 90, 100%?
Yeah, I'd say I'm
okay.
100%.
But it helps with warmth. You know, you don't want to have it in 30 degrees, right?
Well, that's what we worry about throughout the year, you know.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
We were trying to kind of handle him very, you know, we want Aaron in a lineup. At the same time, we knew that there's a lot more to play for down the road. So he kept a very positive attitude throughout the whole process and trusted us to put him in the best spot to be. So he kept mentally tough throughout it, which was really important.
Ben, help me out. We have a pickle play. We have a guy that started to steal, and he was going to be dead to rights. And there's a rundown. Tell us how you set a rundown up.
Well, the main thing is you don't want to lead him to the next base. Worst case scenario, you send him back to the base he came from.
Okay.
You don't get the out.
Right.
But trying to run just as few throws as possible, just tag him right when they get the ball, but hopefully don't throw it away.
Yeah, and some coaches teach to go ahead and run into the fielder.
Yep.
You know, and that's obstruction, and he gets the next base. Yeah. I've seen that happen numerous times, and so you have to be ready to step out of the way and go ahead. And I'm sure you probably back up, right?
Yeah, so I would go to first base. If it's between first and second, I would go to first base and then join in whenever I got the opportunity to. But if it's between second and third, I have to stay home so that way the runner doesn't get to third and then is able to come home freely.
Coach, I enjoyed it. The 27 minutes has gone very quickly.
It does go very
Congratulations.
quickly. Thank you very much.
For your district championship. And we didn't mention who you're going to play. and it's a tough opponent, and we're not going to mention that because one year they have a team, and it's kind of like a new group next year.
Yeah.
And we're hometown Wadsworth players.
We've talked about that.
And we're going to be on our A game coming up tomorrow.
Yep.
And we're going to advance to the next day. It's kind of rough back to back, isn't it?
Yeah.
Back to back,
So
Thursday, Friday.
Getting a little rhythm hopefully over the next couple days.
For sure.
So, we've talked about that. I mean, the most important thing is not who we're playing, it's how we play. So if we play our game, we're feeling pretty good.
Enjoy talking to you gentlemen today. It's been great. And thank you for viewing Bruce on the Loose, and we'll get it out there. And we did a 3-part series on the history of the Cleveland Indians, which you should take and see. It's really good. Thanks for viewing.
You are watching WCTV, Wadsworth Community Television.